today we're going to be making an eye in Procreate. So let's start out with making our canvas. I think I'm just going to do a 3000 by 3000 square. There we are. And the first thing we need to do is maybe start out with that color right there, possibly. What I'll do is I'll make a palette as we go along that I'll share with you guys. I'll add this first color right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a circle here on our canvas. And I'm not going to do that by drawing it. I'm going to go ahead and just do it as in a selection. So if you click on the S right there and make sure it's set to ellipse, we can drag out a circle on the screen. And if you touch it with your finger, it'll make a perfect circle. And we want to feather it a bit. So I'm going to go into feather here and maybe we'll feather it about maybe 13%, I say is good. All right, and now we want to just go ahead and fill that in right there. And we'll have kind of a soft edge around our circle there. All right, now we want to make sure our circle is in the middle of our canvas. So I'm going to go up to the wrench tool here and turn on the drawing guide. And then if you edit your drawing guide, just set the grid size all the way to max. And if you can't see the little lines very well, you can change the color of them by tapping it up here. Black is good for me. And then you can set that thickness and the opacity all the way up so you can see it really well. And hit done. Now we can click on the little arrow here and make sure our circle is right in the center, and lines will light up when we got it right. So right there's a good, I think I'm on it a little bit bigger than actually. So I'm going to hit the little arrow here and make sure it's on uniform so it'll scale all the sides at the same proportions, and then we'll have to move it again till it's in the center. So wait, those little lines light up just like that. Now we got our circle. We can go ahead and turn off our drawing guide now. So that's what we got to start with. Okay, we want to soften up our eye a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Gaussian blur on it. So if you click on the little wrench here and go to Gaussian blur, and then we'll just dial that up by using your pen, sliding it across, and maybe about 5% is good. Give us this very soft look. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to add our little black part in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new layer on top of that one. So just click on the little plus right there. That will make a new layer on top of that. And again, we're going to make a selection using the little S squiggly line right there. And then drawing out a selection here. And then remember, you can touch it with your finger. We'll make a perfect circle again. And we want to set this to black. I'll add that color to our color palette there. And then we'll drag and drop that in. Now that's not centered, so let's go ahead and hit the move button right here. And then we can move that up until you see the two little orange lines turn on, and now we know we've got it right in the center. Okay, so our next step, what we want to do is we want to soften up this middle part here just a bit. So we're going to do another Gaussian blur here. So go to the little wrench tool, or not the wrench, I'm sorry, the magic wand, and go to Gaussian blur. And then we're going to dial that up to about 5% like we did the other one. So about like that, maybe a little bit more. We'll do it about 7. All right, and we can turn that off, and there we have our basic eye. But we want to make this thing look even more real. Okay, so we want to add some more color variations in the eye here, just like a real eye would be if you looked at it. It's not one color, it's lots of colors. So we're going to do the same thing to our eye. So we want to do this on a new layer. So I'm going to click on my pink layer right here, and we're going to click on the plus to start a new layer above the pink layer. And then we want to set this layer to clipping mask. So what that's going to do is when we start drawing on this, it's only going to allow us to draw on wherever the pink part is. So we won't go outside. If we go out here, it won't show up anything. So that's what clipping mask does. Okay, now we're going to change our brush. If you go to the painting section in Procreate. So today I'm going to be using only brushes that come with Procreate, so everybody will be able to follow along. So here's the painting section here, and we're going to choose this Spectra brush. So we want some kind of texture with a fade in and out on the ends there. So that's going to be perfect. And now to demonstrate the clipping mask, if we draw, so even though that I'm going outside, it only will draw on the pink part right here. So I'm going to undo that. Okay, so I'm going to click on my base color here, and I want to make a really light version of that. So I'm going to go to classic here, and we're going to maybe drag that over and make it a really light pink color. And I'm going to add this to my palette so you guys can have that. All right, let me see how big our brush is. That's fine, I guess. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some circles around here, and if you hold your pen down and then touch it with your finger, it'll make a perfect circle. And then you can click on circle up here and you can move it around where it's centered if you like. It don't really matter too much, but there's one like there, and possibly we might want one even lighter than that. So all right, and let's do another one. Okay, I'm gonna hold my pen down, touch it with my finger. That's good. So we've made another one, just a little bit lighter. And now maybe we want a darker one. So I'm gonna click on that base color again, and we're gonna make this one much darker. So I'm gonna add this to my palette also. And maybe that really light one that we did, I'll add that too. So you guys can have a selection of everything that I'm using. So I'm going to go back to that dark one here again. Maybe we'll make the size of the brush a little bit more. We'll go up to 7% on that one. And just draw another one. Hold the pen down, touch it with your finger, and now we got another color in there. All right, let's make another light one. Maybe that same light one that we used, and let's make it maybe a little bit, maybe a 5%. We'll do that one maybe here on the edge or the outside. Again, hold our pen down, touch it with the finger. We got a lighter one in there. We just want kind of a variation. There's no really rhyme nor reason to it. All right, and maybe this dark one here, we'll do another one right on the outside of that real light one we did. Okay, that's good. And then maybe let's do a really, really dark one. So I'm going to click on that base color there, and then we'll go to the classic here, and we'll slide it way down here. So let me add that dark one there too. Put that one in there. It's really dark. And we're going to make our brush really small now, about 4%. And then let's put that one right here. I think 4% is too much. Let me go a little bit less than that. I'm going to go to 3%. We'll do one right here. All right, so I think that's good. That's a pretty good variation. Okay, so we need to change this to make it look a little more realistic. So we're going to use the liquify tool. So if you go to the magic wand here, and down here on the bottom, you'll see liquify. So turn that on. You'll want to make sure that it's on crystals here. All right, and I am going to put the distortion and the momentum to max. We'll do the pressure to about 72%, and maybe the size to about 70%. That should be good. Okay, and then once you have all those parameters set, I'm just going to resize this where we can see it, where the bottom doesn't like mess with it too much. Now we're just going to make circular motions with our pen around this eye to make those colors really change there in the middle. All right, I think that's good enough. Okay, so for the next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and turn that liquify tool off. All right, so next we want to smudge from the insides out, and make sure you got your opacity down to about maybe 60%. The size on the brush is about 10. And we're going to come from the middle and we're going to smudge out towards the edges. And you're going to do that all the way around. I think I'm going to go around one more time. Yeah, I think that's good. I like that. All right, and now what you want to do is you want to make a new layer onto that one we just made. And we're going to set it to clipping mask again. Just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some oranges into our eye. So let me choose a orange color that I'm happy with. Maybe that one right there, and I'll add that to the palette also. Alright, so we're going to use that same brush, the Spectra, and we're going to set it to about maybe 3%. And we're just going to do little bitty orange marks here around the eye to give it a little bit of color variation. You can make some thicker and some thinner, it don't really matter. Make some longer and some shorter. Just about like that, just to give it some color variation. Okay, and then we're going to go to our smudge tool again. I'm going to set that to maybe 5%. And then we're just going to smudge those the same way we did the other colors, is just kind of out towards the edges. Until you get it however you like it. I think that's good. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our kind of psychedelic pink layer right there. So I've got mine on layer 3, but the one that's above your original circle. And we're going to go to the magic wand tool. And we're going to click on perspective blur. We're going to make sure that's set to positional. And then we're going to dial that up with our pen to about, maybe to about 40%. Alright. And then click off of that. We're going to do the same thing for the orange layer here. So again, click on your little magic wand tool, hit perspective blur, and we'll put that up to about 83%, I guess. Alright. And I have a small favor to ask that makes a huge difference. Subscribing to my channel is like giving a virtual high five, and it means the world to me. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just supporting the channel, you're joining an incredible community of awesome people who love art just as much as you do. Imagine being part of something bigger where every view, like, and comment helps us grow and reach more awesome folks just like you. Plus, subscribing is super easy. It's just one click, but that one click has a ripple effect, helping me create more content, bringing new ideas to life, and spreading positivity all around. And hey, in the spirit of kindness, how about this? Subscribe and then go out and do something nice for someone today. Hold the door open for a stranger, leave a kind note for a coworker, or simply smile at someone who looks like they need it. Let's make the world a bit brighter together. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and let's make amazing things happen. Thank you for your support. You're the reason this channel exists. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some more lightness into the eye. So I'm going to start a new layer. And we're going to set it to clipping mask again. And going back to our palettes, I think I'm going to choose this really, really lightest color pink that you got. And we're going to go to the drawing section here, which is the one above the painting, and click on this Eagle Hawk, was it? No, I think it's Oberon. We'll click on the Oberon tool here. Alright, and let me see how thick our brush is. Maybe want it a little bit more, so I'm going to go up to about 8% maybe. Yeah, I think that's good. And this brush is pressure sensitive, so the harder that you push, the thicker it will get. So you can have some little variations in the thickness of it if you like. And we're just going to do like a little squiggly line here all the way around. And I'm going to do it kind of above the orange part if I can. I don't want to cover up all my orange part. But I'm going to vary the pressure. Some are going to be thicker and some are going to be thinner. Just about like that. Okay, and then also we're going to go to the smudge tool again, And we're going to smudge this light layer out towards the edges. So, like this. I'm going to keep going around until it's blended in the way I like it. Kind of take those out more towards the edge. Seemed like I kind of stopped, but I think it looks better if you go all the way out. And we've got it on clipping mask, so it won't go beyond that line. I think that's good. So you're going to go to perspective blur again. So we're going to click on the magic wand here and go to perspective blur, make sure it's on positional. And then we're going to dial that up. I'm going to put it on about 62%. I think that looks good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to start a new layer above everything but under the black one. And we're going to set that to clipping mask again. And we want to do a dark color, and I think this really dark pink one should be fine. And we're going to change our brush to the soft airbrush, under airbrushing, the soft brush. Alright. Let me see what size. Maybe 18%. And we got the opacity down to about 40. And we're just going to take this brush and make this edge of the eye darker. Okay, and then remember, whenever you pick your pen up and start again, it kind of starts a new darkness. So I'm going to get that edge kind of really dark, and I'm going to kind of fade it in lighter and lighter as we go to the center. So I think that's good. I believe I like that. Alright, and we want to make this look a little more natural, so we'll go to the magic wand here and Gaussian blur it, and we'll dial that up to about maybe 22%. I think that looks good. Alright, and you want to click on the little N on that layer, and we're going to go all the way to the top here to multiply. So that's going to darken it even a little bit more. So I like it. Our eye is looking really cool. Alright, and then if it's a little too dark, you can click on the little M again, and we can dial this opacity down a bit. Maybe to 70. I think that looks good. So we're going to make this pupil look a little bit more realistic by using the smudge tool. So if you are worried about messing up or whatever, you know, you're just messing up the thing that you've got already, you can always slide it to the left here and hit duplicate, and then we can turn one of them off, and then we can work on that one. And then if you really get too much, or you go past the point of no return, all you got to do is delete that layer, and then delete the one you messed up, and then duplicate it again, and then work on it again until you get it how you like it. So I think the smudge tool is still set to Spectre. We'll leave it like that. And I'm going to put this on 3%. And we're just going to take this and smudge it out towards the edges like we've done all the other layers. Alright, so about like that. You can even go out more if you want on some. You can alternate the sizes. I think that's good. I like that. Okay, the last thing we want to do is make a highlight. So we're going to make a layer on top of everything, and we're going to go to a white color. Let me go to classic here so I can make sure I get a perfect white, and then I'll add that to the palette also. And the brush we're going to use, if you have the Chamel brush pack, we're going to be using the Chamel Mono Stream. And if you don't have the Chamel brush pack, you can use the monoline brush under calligraphy and click on monoline. If you're interested in getting the Chamel brush pack, it's over on the Patreon. You can go check out that on the Patreon store. It's also on the Gumroad page. So let me see. I will make this monoline brush. That's fine. I've got it at 5%. That's fine. So we're going to make a circle. Maybe like this, hold your pen down, touch it with your finger to get a good circle. And yeah, maybe we'll make it a little bit bigger, so you just kind of stretch it out some if you want. So I think about like that's good for that. All right, and then you're going to make one more circle that's a little bit smaller. Hold your pen down again, touch it with your finger. I think about like that's good, and then just fill that in. Okay, we want to get rid of most of this white donut we've got here. So go to your eraser tool, and I've got the eraser tool set to monoline also. And what we want to do is we want to maybe right there and right here. We want to get rid of this big part right here. So I think the easiest way to do that is just go ahead and hit your little squiggly line right there and go to freehand, and then I just tap it over here, and then all the way around, and then connect it. And now what you can do is you can go to that layer and click on it and hit clear, and that will leave us with that little highlight there. And I think I want to move that a bit, so I'm going to click on the arrow tool here, and we're going to move that up and maybe rotate it a bit. I think about there is good. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to click on that layer with the white highlight on it, and we want to click on mask. Alright, so the way masks work, if you paint on it using white, it shows it, and if you paint on it using black, it makes it go away. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the, I think we're going to go back to our airbrushing, soft airbrush again. We're going to set the color to black, which I have it on the palette there. Alright, so I have got the brush size set to about 14%, and I've got the opacity down to about 40, I guess. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint kind of the bottom of this, and we want to have it from disappearing until starting to show. So we want to have a gradient. And remember, when you pick up your brush, it starts a whole new fade. So I just keep picking it up and putting it down. And then I've got rid of that hard edge there on the bottom, and now I want to just kind of fade that up. So about like that. And if you want to get rid of those edges on the sides too, I guess. I think that's good. Alright, and now when the light hits this, it creates this highlight here, and it's also going to reflect off on the other side of the eye here. So what we want to do is we want to set our color to white, and I think I'm going to choose, actually not white, I'm going to choose this really light pink color that we used before. And we're going to keep it on our soft brush, and we're going to start a new layer, and we're just going to kind of lighten this side up over here. Kind of like that. So what I did was I drug that one that we just made, I drug it under the darker circle of pink under there so that it wouldn't mess with our edge there. And I also dropped this blending mode down to screen. So there's normal, and if you just go down 2 more, it'll set it to screen. That should be a pretty good tutorial on how to make a eye. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have not subscribed, please do so and hit the little bell icon. Share it with your buddies, and I will see you guys next time for another Procreate or Procreate Dreams tutorial. Take care.